whether it is market conditions that has driven 25, 30, 50% increase in compensation, I think it's human nature for a business leader is going to go, I'm now paying, you know, 35% more for a project manager to do the job. So you have an expectation that maybe you're getting more. And yet, if you're coming in from a different industry or you're coming from a large company to come to work at a small company, you're not necessarily thinking it's because I'm going to be doing way more work. You're just, Michael said it earlier, this might just be what the cost of people showing up for those jobs is now. And if it is, and there's some instances I can feel that that's it. I feel the progress in my own mindset, being realistic about some of what we've recently hired a couple of production managers. We've hired several senior project managers. We've re-engaged with designers, whether they're full-time or freelance. The rates are completely different. Um, Executive team leaders are, you know, it's anyway. There's a significant spend, and you're right. Sort of depressing to think that it's just the cost of them showing up. That's what it is nowadays. But it's a factor. I still think I don't really mind the spend, if they're a good fit and they can do the job. And you're right, hire grown-ups, Khalil, and let the grown-ups do the work. And then my job is is the guy above the treetops on Overwatch. You just have to watch and listen and see how people interact and look for ways to encourage bonding. It's why I'm fascinated by some of the things Michael was saying. I mean, when you have a young employee at 90 days that goes, I was blown away by how many people were invested in me becoming successful just to this point. And isn't that an amazing? And yet, like the young NBA stars that don't want to be the role model, even though they get the big checks. There are some people that go, well, why am I training your employees? I don't want to be that. And
real quick on the whole concept. So I think I may have talked on our last call that we have this thing that started almost 18 years ago, the Falcon Award, which is this. So, there's the Liberty Walking Silver Dollar. And it was when I bought the company from my partner, and we had been partners for 12 years, all of a sudden I was thrust into this role of CEO, but really head account and project manager, right? But I'm the CEO. I was 49% owner of a company that had, 17 or 18 people and basically mom and pop revenues. But I got one of those coins and stuck it in my pocket. And it sounds very cliche, but I'm a distracted person. I'm a shiny object person. So I carried this coin every day, and it was my reminder to do something that remotely resembled leadership or CEO, not account manager or project manager. And here I am, a 2-year associate degree, a 4-year college dropout, and no MBA. Thank God I don't have an MBA. And the reason why I say that is it really takes a special kind of person to be in the smaller business entrepreneurial role and sort of set the scaling, successes, building, scaling, and sort of be in the work and say, what's the universe providing for me? How do I want to bend time and space to make it different? But that coin I carried around, it eventually got stuck to a trophy called the Falcon Trophy, because my father had a friend, my father's passed away, but he had a friend who used to go down to spring training every year for the Red Sox. And over 20 years, he had several of these bats that he would have signed at spring training. And he had some bats that had signatures from people that were world-class athletes for various franchises, right? Because spring training is the young rookies and everything. And these things were like unobtainium. They weren't the same thing as the World Series team signed this bat. It was this piece of art that had all different. And I was like, when's the best time to plant a tree? We're going to get a trophy. We're going to do this Falcon thing. I'm going to ask people to look at their work the same way I looked at mine and understand you're going to have bad days. Stick it on that trophy. And if we give you a Falcon Award, which is the coin, you get to sign that thing. We now have 3 of those. They're in our 3 locations. There's 2 little ones And then there's this one we've added bottom to, like this, like some of these trophies,
Yeah.
and they're covered with signatures. The point of the story is, once you get a Falcon, it's really hard to get the second Falcon because there's no mandate to give it, and it's for exceeding expectations. So as the company's expectations increase, these people are doing work with our customers that I couldn't do. That's how, with technology and with the integration of things, Chris probably has greater aptitude with the actual get it done thing than I do, but I'm interested in it. But I'm like, wow, this person who's been with us 15 months is doing a $2 million 30 by 30 and managing all the partners. And I used to be a guy who showed up with a Swiss Army knife and a pair of pliers, and I could get 4 guys and we could put something together. So that idea of recognizing people, what I say, and it's a long story, but what I say to people when you get the Falcon, and my number, I think the other people in the organization, they just see it as a trophy for something. So I have to keep saying this. Hey, by the way, we really are honoring you going above and beyond our expectations. The next one's hard to get because we already expect that now.
Right.
And if you think about someone like the girl I referenced, she has not received a Falcon Award, but she's been a high achiever. I don't know if she'll ever receive one, but the message in life should be like, wow, now that you do it, just don't go walk around with your special tool case of all the things that you are doing are awesome and expect them to play. But the same things will get rewards for a person who has much less experience. So I think there needs to be more of that in the workplace. And I will tell you, less and less people want it. More and more people just want the award. Like, how do I get that recognition? And then I even have people on my team who go like, hey, so-and-so's never had a Falcon. And I go, so we either haven't noticed them exceeding expectations or they're just doing the job we're paying them to do.
They don't get the trophy for just showing up. Right.
Right. And so all those things contribute to, now so I've said before, I have a very clear, to Chris, I have a way. It's just my, the way I think it should be. And I'm hoping I invite enough people that want to do it this way pretty quickly when they're in your organization. They kind of want to morph it into their own way. And then I'm there still in the, this is my biggest fear as a company owner is for me to do the next thing. Do I let go of my values and beliefs and let sort of other people modify it? What happens in that case a lot of times is things, you see this in Fortune 500 companies. What they do is they get a bunch of people who turn it into better sameness, right? Like we're going to be just a little better than all these companies that do the same thing. Well, it loses its mojo, right? Yeah. And then it just entropy occurs. And I think where we are, the last thing I'll say about this post-COVID is Chris and I are, we're at that time where we're not working for another 25 years. So our perspective is we have an expectation that may be different than when we were 35. Now we're saying, give me enterprise value, give me a return on all this time I've worked. I have the scars to show it. I'm telling you how to do that. How come you're not listening? And, so we're over in the corner going, this isn't fair.
Well, I celebrate what you've accomplished, Michael. It really, we've had a broader conversation in the industry, but you've answered the question. You've created the culture that answered the question of why would somebody in your company care about the availability of other qualified employees or really good people? Why would they take the interest in help coach them up and train them? And I think if you understand that this is a team game, if you're on the team and you've been at it a while, why you need that. But I mean, this is actually a broad, and Khalil, I know you had something you want to say here, but I hope we finish up at the end with, there's a broader discussion in our industry now. 2.8 million people laid off during pandemic. 300,000 approximately never came back. We have a shortage. We have to repopulate our industry. And I know there are some business leaders that are suggesting, well, why would I care about repopulating an industry? It's just dog eat dog world. I'm not going to help my competitors. I'm figuring out how to do find the people I need. We just want to let everybody. It's every man for himself. Which, by the way, I think that's actually a symbol of recovery, right? Because we're getting back to that competitive nature of the way we were. My hope was I would make a good argument for the industry of why the industry needs to populate. Michael, I think you had made a comment about if there's fewer fish in the pond, right, and fewer of them are keepers. It's a no-brainer to me. You need to restock the pond, right? Because we need a healthy, robust industry.
You have to make the pond's ecosystem better too, and you might have to feed, right? So I think that's the thing in our industry is we've been harvesting talent in this industry through serendipity. And now we're going like, wow, we actually have to do more constructive work here than we ever have done before, which means we have to actually move and inspire people to choose this. We have to give examples of it while we're simultaneously lifting, some very relatively novice talent that we currently have, right? The huge chunk of the talent is new. So, that's why they call it work.